Hello and welcome to a brand new Five Heart Podcast live. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko, and there's no John Johnston tonight. He is traveling. I believe he's going back to Nebraska for a family funeral. So we wish him safe travels. If he's listening to this or watching live, I don't know. But we wish him the very best. I did promise a guest that was sure to be of interest to you Chatterfields. Some of you will love this decision. Some of you will say, you've seen enough of him. And others are going to say, who in the world is that? It is my privilege, it is my honor, and it is my contractual obligation to bring in a one-time regular on the Five Heart Podcast, and now he's done. He's off on his own thing now, and I can never remember when you have a TV show like Happy Days, and then they have spinoff. He's doing a spinoff. It took me a while to get there, but please welcome live from Monday Night's Therapy with John and Todd, our very own Todd Wolverton. Hello.
You have set expectations embarrassingly high, and
no, I said that you might piss some people off.
Well, I'm sure. Sorry for the disappointment, everyone. I think I was the only one that said yes.
You were my second try. You were my second ask. My number one declined. He was also traveling. No, I'm kidding. So how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been kind of a grind for the last couple of months, and it's starting to slow down a little bit in time for the holidays. So hopefully I'll have a little more energy. When you get my age, it takes longer to get back up, I think. But it's football season's winding down. It's kind of that time of year when getting ready for tournaments and other sports and stuff. So it's an exciting time of year.
It needs to be noted as well for the Chatterfields as well as for you, Todd, is I was informing Todd, I don't know if you listen to the Five Heart Podcast when it's all said and done. I do try to listen to Monday Night Therapy. But you probably know, and Chatterfields, God bless them, certainly know that these shows have been running long. And Five Heart Podcast starts at least an hour later than Monday Night Therapy. And Todd's got a pretty strict bedtime he has to adhere to. He's got to take his Metamucil, and he's got to be in bed by 10. So it is our goal to have everything done, put the bow on this show by 10 o'clock Central tonight. So with that being said, it's great to see some of the wild guesses that were in the comment section already. Nebraska struggled at home this past Saturday against Maryland, Todd, and lost a home. As I've been learning, watching things like Welcome to Wrexham, watching Ted Lasso, they lost to Derby, and it wasn't pretty. 5 turnovers in the game, and a 13-10 loss. And Nebraska still searching for that elusive 6th win.
Yeah, I tell you, I was at the game on Saturday with my dad, and honestly, it was not an edge of the seat type of a game, but it certainly was a frustrating game watching the turnovers. But it seemed like we still had a chance, and obviously proven in that drive that Chuba Purdy led towards the end, there was opportunity. But I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just watched Nebraska football shoot themselves in the foot so many times. I was not convinced that we were going to walk away from, what was it, the 5-yard line with points on the board. I don't know, it was a weird feeling, but
you brought that into reality. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, like Oedipus. By the way, Branson Chab is here tonight, and he gives us $4.99 and says, "Good to see you, Todd."
Well, thanks, Branson.
And we got some other questions here we will attack as we go. And this week, folks, we will, towards the latter half of the show, we will make sure that we get our Young Guns Team Jack donation out there. Save that for now. But there's been much discussed about the play call, about that drive that eventually led to an interception. I'll tell you what, we have three very consistent quarterbacks. Three quarterbacks got in last Saturday. Each of them threw at least one interception. That is rare. We are breathing rare. We are shitting in high cotton, my friend.
I've asked if that's a record. Did anybody else have three quarterbacks that have all thrown interceptions in the same game? I mean, I'm sure maybe it has happened, but yeah, I don't, that play call at the end, man, as successful as they were running the ball down the field, I think taking one more shot. And I don't question Coach Rule's decision to go for the win. I mean, and what I mean by that is going for the touchdown.
Right.
How
you go about it.
Exactly. And, I would have been frustrated if on third down, if they would have just tried to position the ball to, on third down to enhance their chances of a field goal. It's going to be a short field goal anyway. But man alive, I would have liked to have seen, I got nervous when it looked like he was going to throw the ball and eventually did, but.
And it's important to note, so about the time that you and John were wrapping up Monday Night Therapy, Haas and I were recording Coordination Overreaction, and we talked about that play, and Haas broke it down as really only an X's and O's guy like Haas can. He said that, and I think Rule confirmed this in the Monday pressers, that was supposed to be a pass to the back corner. It was supposed to be one of those that it's either incomplete or it's a touchdown, and there really shouldn't be another option. The way Haas described it in rewatching it is Malachi Coleman's supposed to slant in more, but got to, a physical defensive back, something like that from Maryland, kind of bumped him off, got him off the route, and then he didn't really recover from that. Things like that, I do really think you can learn from, and you can coach better. And I think that's what this team has made a lot of strides so far in 2023. Now, we're not across the goal line yet, pun intended or not, but we've drastically cut down the number of penalties. Our defense is playing at an exceptionally high level. If we could cut the turnovers in half, this is a very different football team. And we run into this problem on the Overreaction show all the time. We what if ourselves to death, if this goes this way, or if this happened just a little bit different. And I know I have to stop doing that because it's not fair. But even though we're sitting at 5-5 and we've got arguably, a couple of tough games, we go on the road to Camp Randall and we're home against Iowa. So none of these are cakewalks. I still feel like this team is really positioned very well to take a big leap from year one to year two.
I think so too. I think a lot of the things that a successful program needs to have in place are being put in place. We talked early in the year before the season started about Coach Rule coming in and putting a program in place. All of those people that are behind the scenes, that structure exists. And, I think that as people continue to function and operate as a system, I think a lot of things are going to take care of themselves that are going to enhance the program. Now, it still comes down to Jimmys and Joes. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, you still have to have the players out there on the field, and those players have to perform effectively. And, one thing that we haven't talked a whole lot about is when you take a look at the last 3 games, minimal penalties,
Right.
minimal. And, it wasn't that many years ago that our primary bugaboo was penalties, and especially penalties at really inopportune times.
It was the game in East Lansing that they had a clean sheet
Yep.
because there was the one roughing the kicker that got declined, kicker or punch or whatever it was that Spartans declined. So that I did the research on that, and the last time that Nebraska had gone penalty free prior to almost 2 weeks ago now was 2006 against Maine. That's almost 20 years of
Yeah.
penalties. And like you said, a lot of them coming at some of the worst times. Let's talk about the Jimmies and Joes real quick. Here's the thing. Before I put this comment up by Fred, so everybody just, hold on. At times, all 3 of our quarterbacks play brilliantly. However, they will always and only be remembered for the costly mistakes, I think.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Fred says, I get keeping them off balance, but still putting it up within field goal range with your third string quarterback. Not great. Not great. And then Husker JPG says, could have run another minute off the clock and got the lead. Terrible decision, and you deserved to lose. I'll tell you what, that was a game that both teams deserved to lose. That was not a team of who's that was not a game of what team's going to win, but which team's going to screw up more.
Yeah.
You look at the statistics. Neither Nebraska nor Maryland truly executed collegiate football at a level that either of them deserve to win.
Well, I'll tell you something too that I thought was kind of interesting, and again, something that we haven't talked a whole lot about, but or I haven't heard people talking about it. 2 weeks in a row, Nebraska has played against incredibly undisciplined teams, and Michigan State may be an excuse with an interim coach. I don't know. I don't think we should necessarily put it that way, but you think of the penalties that Michigan State drew at important times of the game. But I'll tell you what, for as long as Maryland's coach has been in place there, and him having a team that was one of the dirtiest, one of the cockiest teams that I've seen play in quite a while, and the penalties were just insane, that they were drawn. And there's a reason why they have some talent. Maryland has some talent. Their quarterback, maybe one of the better quarterbacks we've seen this year. But if you're not going to play a disciplined game, you're going to lose games. So
Red Sacco says Michigan State and Maryland both played like Pelini-led teams with the penalties and stupidity, and we still lost.
Well, Fred, I can't argue with that.
I mean, that one's right there, Fred. All right, so we have, this is while we're talking about penalties and turnovers. Branson Chab asks a bit of a layered question. Do you think the primary Big Ten West teams will largely clean up the turnover issues next year? Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and so on. I mean, that's half the Big Ten West teams, or I guess almost half the Big Ten West teams right there. I think Nebraska will. I think Wisconsin will. I think Minnesota, you're going to get more of Minnesota. And I don't know how bad they are with turnovers this year. Obviously, nobody's as bad as us, which means we're number one. We're number one. But no, I don't know if Minnesota's in the same boat. I think Wisconsin will be improved, from year 1 to year 2, just as Nebraska is. Just who's going to take that bigger leap. And I really do think, again, that we are with we've had a full off season. We're almost exactly 12 months now into Matt Rule, but with, I don't know, more reps, more practice more. I don't know. I do think that everybody's going to improve in the offseason.
Yeah, I hope that the turnover situation improves. But the crazy thing is that it seems like turnovers are something that all of a sudden out of the blue your team struggles. It's sometimes it just happens and you shake your head. Barry Switzer didn't used to worry about turnovers back in the day when they were hanging half 100 on people. Unfortunately, Nebraska can't hang half 100, but I would like to think that and I know there's a lot of questions about quarterbacks, and I'm assuming we'll probably talk about that in a bit. But if Heinrich Harburg is back and if he plays a role, with the team next year, I think his turnovers will. I think he'll cut down quite a bit because he's going to have more confidence. He's going to understand the offense better, and I don't think he'll feel the pressure like he's felt the pressure this year. And so I think there's potential there, but it's going to be a point of emphasis. It's going to be.
You mentioned hanging half 100. Fred says Nebraska can't hang half a 20, which, if you look at the scores this year, statistically, that is false. All right. Let's not be so negative, Fred. All right. We're all in this together.
Half a 30.
Incremental improvement, as we like to say on the Overreaction Show. You're right. Lots of quarterback talk. Let's get to it. We will talk about Wisconsin, obviously. Let's see here. Let's talk about the most timely, I guess, or at least most time sensitive, I suppose. Living in Omaha's David Matney says, question, if all quarterbacks were healthy, which one would you like to see start this Saturday, Todd?
If all of them were healthy.
All are healthy. All our quarterbacks are sitting there 100%.
I think I would say, and I almost can't believe I'm going to say this. I think I would say Heinrich Harburg. If you had asked me this question last week, I would have said Jeff Sims, because he said, which one would you like to see? And I had been campaigning for Jeff Sims to have another chance. He got it. And when, the fumble that he had, and watching that replay of that fumble, when he's going to continue to be that careless with the ball, he was carrying it out there like a loaf of bread at the point of contact. I'm not gonna defend Jeff Sims. So I would say, who would I want? I would want Heinrich Harburg if they were all healthy. How about you?
Well, before I get to my answer, we do this like we do predictions. I always go last for whatever reason. Joel Tilson says Chuba Purdy. And Mr. Living in Omaha, David Matney, also says would go with Purdy. And I tend to defer back to Heinrich Harburg. I really do. Yeah, he's got more turnovers than Purdy, but he's got a hell of a lot more playing time. I also think, though, if he struggles, if there's another injury, you almost have to go Purdy. And I hate to say it, I hate to bypass Sims. I know Sims was brought back in. It was brought here, but Sims has a career of turnover issues. As Joel says here, Joel Tilson says Sims has no confidence. Like you said, there was not the 5 points of contact. We like to say there was no eagle claw. I don't know. You were at the game, so I don't know if you ever went back and watched the replay of the telecast.
I watched. I saw clips of Sims fumble, and that's, in my mind, it was inexcusable. It was inexcusable based upon what his performance had been earlier in the season when he had opportunity to play, that he didn't take better care of the ball. And,
No,
is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about something
no.
else?
I just didn't know if you ever watched the replay of the broadcast on
Yeah.
TV. Did you
Not
watch
the
the very
entire
beginning? Did you see the very beginning where the on the field announcer was talking about Nebraska practicing the eagle claw grip on the football to make sure
No, I
that they
didn't
didn't
see
fumble?
that. I didn't
That
see that. But
when the announcer has to come in and explain, yeah, they're trying to teach guys how not to fumble the football, and it's the 10th game of the season, it's not a good start.
well, you can tell that they've worked with a lot of those guys because you see a lot of them carrying that ball awful high. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, and overemphasizing,
yeah.
and so some guys have gotten the message. So
Husker JPG says that Purdy with a groin is a bad bet, not fair to Purdy or his health either. And Fred reiterates Purdy looked great, but how healthy is he? Fred also says Harburg, Sims healthy or no, God no, under the lights at Camp Randall, he'd give them at least 21 points or more.
I tell you what, Fred, I wouldn't be surprised that he will be the one who starts Saturday night.
Who's that, Harburg?
No.
Sims? Interesting. I guess it all depends on Heinrich's, was it ankle foot sprain, something like that?
He's got a high ankle sprain, and he is going to travel, but they're also taking Longville, so they're going to have 4 quarterbacks, which would indicate Purdy is – we know Purdy, if the kid's already, for the most part, scheduled to have surgery at the end of the season for his groin injury.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not 100%. And, I don't know that whether that injury is that one of the cases where, if you can stand the pain, go ahead and play. You can't hurt it any worse than it already. I don't know if it's one of those kinds of things. But I believe that. Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Fred says it sounds like it'll be Sims. If it is, it's already lost. Now let's not jump to conclusions.
Jeff Sims, this might be his hero moment.
Could you imagine?
I can imagine, because I've seen the kid be successful. We forget that in that Minnesota game, he moved that team up and down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And
didn't finish it a lot, but
didn't finish, but he moved the team.
Joel reiterates a comment that I made more than once on X or Twitter this past Saturday during the game. Wildcat formation.
Who's gonna be in that role? Are you gonna? I mean, we're down to our 4th-string running back, Emmett. I don't know that I trust Anthony Grant to hang on to the ball. I think it's just a piss poor situation.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal for a first year head coach, or a head coach in his first year at the program. Living in Omaha, David Matney says it's like saying Fred won't make funny comments. And let's see. I do agree with James' comment here. The sun shines on a dog's butt once in a while. This Saturday could be the day. The dog's butt could be Jeff's. I don't know. That's bad. Here, Jack the Ripper's back. Now, we haven't seen Jack the Ripper in months. I don't know where Jack the Ripper originates. I mean, aside from the obvious, but he says, you guys are so thick. Thank you. I'm pretty sure that is a compliment in many cultures. Only Nike-sponsored teams have any hope of being a champion, and NU ain't one. I mean, it's a fact. We do have Adidas contracts. This is the dirty little secret about the Fuskers. I believe you spelled Huskers incorrectly, Jack. I don't know, Jack. We have to point these comments out too.
I have no comment.
Thank you. All right. Dave Matney says I would trust Grant before Sims. Now, come on. Let's pull let's just be like Michigan the second half and just run the ball the entire time.
Our offensive line is not Michigan's offensive line.
I know, but
I would love to see that.
You would. I think on Monday night you referred to it as a Nebraska fan's wet dream. All right, let's look at some of these other comments here.
Can I throw one up just to clarify something here?
Yes.
James Boardman said early on, "Hooray, you kneecapped Cooper DeJean."
I actually highlighted that for future, but yeah, let's get to it.
I am in hiding. Only because it was public what I said, but I never did reach out to Vito and Tony. I was not able to reach them. And so I am not going to take the blame for Cooper DeJean being injured. Yes, 2 weeks ago I said that might be a good idea, and that would give Nebraska a chance if you took away Cooper DeJean, and perhaps someone might want to hire Tony and Vito to do that. But full disclosure here, I did not make that phone call. So if someone else acted, I am not a party to that conspiracy.
I was never blaming you, Todd. I know better. Let's see here.
I'll tell you what. I feel bad for Cooper DeJean. The kid is incredible, and as much as I hate the Hawkeyes, he creates a huge hole on the defense. Obviously, he's a threat to go the distance anytime he catches a punt. Nebraska didn't. He wasn't on the field last year against Nebraska. He got injured the week before. So that I know we got the Wisconsin game, but that is a huge, huge loss for Iowa, which, maybe they'll get whipped this week.
I think that's one of the requirements. Like Nebraska has to win both games, Illinois has to beat Iowa, and then we could still have some kind of crazy 7-way tie in the Big Ten West.
Something like that.
There was a Big Ten West specific question here, and I don't know. We'll have to go back to it. But Fred asked this one earlier, and I gotta know. It says, Greg, if Todd asks you how tall you are, don't fall for it. Any explanation on that one?
I don't know what Fred's talking about. I'm 6'11".
We have broken bread. We have met in person. I tower over you. Let's calm down on that 6'11" shit. But speaking of people who might be smoking something, Nebraska Strong says, how about Greg starting as our walk-on QB? Only if you want somebody who can't really run, can't really throw at that level, probably can't fit into the pants. You know what? I'll just say it this way. If you're looking for Greg to have a role in the program, you might want to think of me more like a backup water boy. So here you go. 6'11". I didn't know they stack shit that high.
Thanks, Fred.
There was one in here. There was a real. I apologize. I got to scroll back farther up than I intended to. It was about the Big Ten, and maybe I already addressed it, but I do have a bad memory. I'm almost notorious for it. No, I did. All right, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about quarterbacks real quick here. I mean, we have been talking about it already, but David Matney says, "What are our chances of adding a quarterback coach?" And Todd, you have a little bit more, I guess, insight or at least more knowledge of the situation than I do.
I would say I think it's a possibility. Marcus Satterfield is coaching the quarterbacks this year, and they hired was his name Wagner, the high school coach from Texas, to coach tight ends, and that was done. I think I shared this on Monday night. That was done primarily for recruiting purposes, to get a foothold, a stronger foothold in Texas. And then Wagner got dinged for a DUI. He was out, and they bumped up an analyst who coached tight ends at SMU last year to coach tight ends. Now, he is on a 1-year contract. He's being paid just a little bit over $150,000. I think most people think he's done a good job coaching the tight ends. But, Marcus Satterfield was the individual that was going to coach the tight ends, assuming they could hire a quarterback coach. And the one they were after is this kid from Nebraska. I can't think it was Jake Peetz. Last name's Peetz, Peetz. And, he's with the Rams.
I was going to say, he's with the Los Angeles Rams.
He's with the Rams. So I don't know. I would venture to say that Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield, if they haven't had conversation, they may very well have conversation about hiring a quarterback coach.
Husker JPG says the tight ends have been a disappointment. I don't agree with that. Borkature, started out real well. I know, most of his action came early on, but Thomas Fidoni's been maybe not quite as advertised, but he's also had 2 injuries the last 2 seasons. It's really his first season playing, and he's made some stellar plays. I mean, I don't have any complaints in the quarterback or in the tight end room. Some funny ones here we got to address. Living in Omaha, David Matney says Sims or Greg. I'm going with Greg. Fewer turnovers this season. Fred says fewer turnovers during the game, maybe more turnovers before and after the game. You're damn right. I do like a fine apple turnover. Fred also says Greg needs to be QB. Then we can break another Husker QB record. First QB to split his pants in pregame warm-ups. And, buddy, you ain't lying. I have a bad history with pants. All right. Probably the reason is because I also have bad history with food and beer and other things, but it all leads to the pants. All right. So I'm a work in progress. Win the day, right? Win the day. Let's see. Fred says Fidoni's been okay, but many of the passes he was double covered over the middle with passes behind him.
Fidoni has to get better with his blocking, and he's even said that.
Husker JPG says it too.
Yeah. It's an area he has to improve on.
Let's see here. We got that one. Do you think Sims will transfer out? Yeah. You think so?
Yeah. He'll have another year. I mean, he burnt the red shirt by playing this last week. So he has another year of eligibility left. He probably won't go into the portal. He won't have to, because if he graduates in December, he can be a grad transfer, which is a little bit different kind of an arrangement. I would guess that Jeff Sims is probably going to find himself at I think he'll be at an FCS school. He will not be in a Power 5 school, but I think he might be at he may end up, at a high D2 or something like that.
Group of 5, maybe.
Yeah, I think he'll be with a group of 5. I mean, but Logan Smothers, everybody wants to talk about why did we let Casey Thompson go? Why did we let Logan Smothers go?
He falls under the category of what have you done for me lately?
I'll tell you what, Logan Smothers started the game 2 years ago against Iowa, and had Nebraska in position to win that game. I don't know what he's done. Is he down at Jacksonville State, I think, or
Jacksonville
something like
State.
Yeah. And I have no idea how he's doing this year. Haven't paid any attention. But, I I I I didn't have a problem, that big of a problem with Logan Smothers. So,
Let's see
Nebraska
here.
Strong disagrees with me, but yeah.
Logan Smothers this year, again, 2023, he's 60 for 107, which is a completion percentage of 56.1% for 655 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So,
6 touchdowns, 3
realistically, he's
interceptions.
right on par with the rest. Yeah, right on
Yeah.
par and under 700 yards passing. I mean, he's right there with
Yeah.
the rest of Nebraska quarterbacks this year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Highlander Gun says that I should try a kilt.
I was
They're
on
trying
a
to figure out
school
ways.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there we got stretchy pants from Joel. Fred says Spanx for me, but Highlander Gun says a kilt, and I don't know who that frightens more, me, my wife, or everyone else who'd be around me.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable question. Uh, I was at a school visit a few weeks ago, homecoming week, and one of the teachers was wearing a kilt. I thought it was funny as hell, but
Nebraska Strong says, OMG, Smothers was a dumpster fire, Todd.
I didn't think he was that bad, but just one guy's opinion. Nebraska Strong also threw this one up here. Todd, when you played football, what position did you play? Believe it or not, I was a tight end on offense, and I was a defensive end and an outside linebacker. I also returned punts and kickoffs. So
that
yeah.
was a few years and a few more pounds ago.
Quite a few.
James Marshall says Todd and Greg. That's a new combo.
We've been together every once in a while.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's not a regular thing. It's like a nice seasonal beer. You get it, you enjoy it for the time, and then it goes away. Kind of like the McRib, except the McRib is trash. I've said it before. The McRib is the deadbeat dad of fast food sandwiches.
Well, I'll tell you, it's time for my favorite seasonal beer right now. I'm not drinking one tonight. Favorite Shiner Cheer.
Holiday Cheer is a very good one.
It is. That's I've got some in the fridge.
Nice. I've got straight from Cooperstown, New York tonight. Usually Fred asks what I'm drinking, but I guess he's lost interest in my personal habits. From the Omegang Brewery. I don't know how well you can read that. It's Everything Nice. They also have an Everything Naughty, but I haven't been able to find the Everything Naughty. It's a strong blonde ale with seasonal spices and natural and artificial flavor. And it's quite tasty. I'll say that.
Hey, Greg, I just had one pop up here. I'm kind of curious. Maybe you know what Murph Dog Brewing Company is talking about. Did you guys talk about the behind-the-scenes fiasco at Wisconsin yet? I don't know what that is. I've heard there's a lot of issues on the team, with woe is me and a lot of negative comments about locker room culture and some of that kind of stuff, but I really haven't paid any attention. So maybe you need to enlighten us a little bit there, Murph Dog.
I specifically wanted to give Murph Dog Brewing Company a shout out because they're watching on 2 screens, which means that they're double crazy. Also, Murph Dog Brewing Company, where are you at? Where can what kind of beer do you make, and can we find you? Because we, and by we I mean especially me, like beer. Me like beer, as you could tell. Fred Sacco says there are several bakeries around here hiring. Sims will be a shoe-in until he drops the turnovers into the sewer on the way to his car. Fred. You tagged that one, didn't you, Todd? I didn't tag that one.
I didn't tag that one. Oh, I no, I didn't.
Minnie, just stopping in real quick to say, go Big Red. Can't wait till we kick Wisconsin soft behind. Apparently, Minnie missed the portion of the show which we were talking about my ample backside. So Rowdy, Greg Mahochko, John the Snake Johnston, and Todd Wolfman Wolverton, the Husker, three amigos. I don't know. I mean, because I was in a kilt, I guess that's why I'm
You're rowdy. There you go. Now I got it. Good for you, Fred.
Is Todd going to watch John watch the Young Guns? Are you familiar with this Young Guns situation?
The only thing I know about Young Guns is it's a hell of a good wrestling program in Western Pennsylvania, coached by Jody Stripmatter. So I didn't know that John was that big of a wrestling fan that he would go all the way to Pennsylvania to watch a bunch of kids wrestle. So no, fill me in.
You know about the movie The Young Guns? Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Lou Diamond Phillips. About a month ago now, maybe 5 weeks, someone in the comments in our beloved Chatterfields here made a Young Guns reference, and John jumped on that and says, "I hate that movie." He said, "I've always hated that movie." I said, "John, you had a brain injury. You used to love peanut butter, now you hate it. Maybe now you love Young Guns." I'm not. So at the end of the show, the Chatterfields were putting us up, and basically it became a, for what's the price to get John to watch the movie. And so we established $100. If we could raise $100, then we'd watch the movie, find a way to stream it, watch it with the Chatterfields here. And someone named Marcus, who popped in for this show only. We've not seen him before. We've not seen him comment since. Did one of the super chats for $99.99, and then he was out. So what we're doing, that went over so well, we're actually, and we're not keeping the money. What we're doing is we're raising funds. We're going to donate. At the time we watch Young Guns, we're going to donate to Team Jack.
Awesome.
So now would be a terrific time, since it came up, that if you want to be part of the Young Guns Team Jack donation, go ahead and drop a super chat in there, a couple bucks, whatever feels good. I am keeping a tally right here, which you can't see because of the blurriness, but we're at $130 now. So if you want to be participating in that, let us know. Let's see here.
I would jump into that. It's been a long time since I've seen Young Guns. I enjoyed the movie. I liked all those guys that were in the movie. I always wanted to be those guys.
I believe it. I'm sure for a little while you're old enough to have been one of those guys.
Yeah, probably.
Murph Dog Brewing Company says apparently the locker room culture of Wisconsin is bad.
Yeah.
Says, I'm a home brewer out of Gearing, Nebraska. I've won 2 contests in the Panhandle since 2020. My beer was on tap at Flyover Brewing Company in Scotts Bluff this summer. Murph Dog, I've heard great things about Flyover Brewing. There's a good chance that one of our friends here on the show, Josh, has enjoyed your beverages because he lives in the Twin Cities as well. So
I will check that out when I'll be back out there after the first of the year, and I'll have to check that out when I'm there.
In regards to the $99.99 from Marcus, Fred says Marcus beat me to it. He was just about to tap send. James Marshall says I was 8 when Young Guns came out and it seemed good then. Nebraska Strong says, Todd, do you think we should go to more of a 2 and 3 tight end set and fullback to give us more flexibility on offense?
I expected that we were going to see that this year.
I agree.
When we were listening to Coach Rule and Coach Satterfield talk, preseason and stuff, I expected to see some 2 and 3 tight end sets with a fullback, and we have not seen very much of it. So I'd like to see some of it. I think it might be a little bit more effective than some of the things that we've done. What I would really like to see, to be quite honest with you, is when we have short yardage situations, I'd like to see the quarterback under the center. That's what I'd really like to see.
I don't understand why you put yourself in the hole being back 4 or 5 yards. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
Let's go back now. Let's go back to the opening possession. This damn cough is going to be the death of me. Don't worry, my life insurance is paid up. But let's go back to the opening possession against Illinois when Nebraska makes the goal line stand, not on one play, but on 2 plays, and they're basically inside the 1. They were under center, and Heinrich Harburg takes the snap, and with a little help from, I think it was Grant at the time, just moves forward. Just gets, I think they got 4 or 5 yards on that. Just push. You cannot be starting off in the negative. You can't be starting off at a deficit and expect to go forward. I don't understand that. And it's not just Nebraska, but when Nebraska is the team that I care about, it pisses me off because you're making it impossible, making it so much more difficult on your offense by starting under center. By not starting under center.
I agree. I don't get it, but I'm not a modern offensive coordinator. So, and that kind of leads into this one here, Greg. Greg and Todd, do you guys like the old triple option? I loved watching the old triple option. It was wonderful to watch. However, in this day and age, and again, I'm not a strong enough X and O guy. This is where Haas would need to step in. But, Army, which perhaps was running, the current version of the option better than anybody else, they moved away from that offense because they changed blocking rules this year. And something about if you're blocking outside of the box or outside of the tackles, you can't block below the waist or something. It's something like that. And so, Coach Monken at Army said, we won't be as effective as we need to be if we can't block the way that we were accustomed to blocking. So I don't know if you can continue. I don't know if you can run that dinosaur anymore.
Joel Tilson says wishbone would work. I remember this. Now, this goes back easily a decade, but when you had Amir Abdullah, Imani Cross, and I believe maybe Terrell Newby, don't hold me on that. Remember the diamond formation when you had 3 running backs? That was a thing of beauty, and we just didn't see it enough. I don't think so. Shout out to Monica Mercer here, $20. I'm going to write that down. $20 to the Team Jack Young Guns Fund. For those of you who don't know, Monica, childhood friend of John Johnston, so she's a saint. But she does quite a bit of the artwork that you see on the YouTube videos. So thank you very much, Monica, and thanks for putting up with John for all those years, even before Todd had the opportunity to know him. And, I'll tell you, y'all have paid your dues. That's for damn sure. Murph Dog Brewing Company says, I think this is the game where we have to lean on our defense. I mean, I've been saying this for weeks now. We're only going to go as far as the defense can take us. But we should just run off tackle, even if they stuff us, and then play the field position game, get over the 50, and then start passing. So I don't know if I agree with all that, but I do agree that I've said this before. This defense deserves better than what the offense has given them in some of the positions that the offense has put them into.
Murph Dog, I'm on board with you there. I think we would need to be very selective with the passing. But God, it's horrible that we have to sit here and be afraid to pass the ball. But I think that's where Husker Nation is at, unfortunately.
All right. I'm clearing out some of these. Let's get to this Saturday. We're less than 48 hours now from Nebraska, Wisconsin. It's a 6:00 kickoff from Camp Randall, so people eventually are going to jump around. Nebraska has the ability not just to become bowl eligible, but to win in Madison for the first time since October 8th, 1966.
I was going to say, I heard 60 something.
That's nuts. I mean, realistically, the only time that they've beaten Wisconsin since they joined the Big Ten was September of 2012. And we all know what happened just a couple short months later. This is Wisconsin leads the series 12-4. They decided to make up a trophy back in 2014 to play for called the Freedom Trophy. And this would be a good one for Nebraska to get.
Yeah. I would really like to see a win this weekend. I think it's possible that there will be. Murph Dog has referenced the locker room issues up there. And I've watched them play a couple of times. I've watched Wisconsin play. This is not the Wisconsin that used to just embarrass us.
Right.
They're still a decent team. They still play physical defense, but they're not a dominant defense. And yeah.
Let's think about Luke Fickell's their head coach, and Luke Fickell was the head coach when Nebraska beat Ohio State in the famed Joe Bauserman game. He was the interim head coach at that time for Jim Tressel. He's bringing the air raid. It's having some difficulty getting off of the ground, I believe, and then the rumors and the reports that you hear about a lot of the locker room infighting, etc. But Wisconsin has had Nebraska's number. I mean,
yeah,
almost exclusively. It would be nice to get one. It would be nice, since we missed out on the trophy that matters the most, which is the $5 Bits of Broken Chair trophy. It'd be nice to bring some hardware back to Lincoln by beating Wisconsin for the Freedom Trophy, beating Iowa for the not so ballyhooed corporate Hy-Vee Heroes Trophy. But just we got to have some confidence going into the offseason. We got to build up some momentum. And I don't know. I like this one from Fred when we're talking about the last time we beat Wisconsin. He says, John and Moses wore short pants last time we beat Whiskey in Camp Randall. Thank you, Fred. We appreciate a good old joke. John's not here to defend himself, so next time just say Todd. Nebraska Strong says, Todd, would we be better off going with 5 wide receiver spread and then run a QB draw with spacing?
No. I just, when the majority of the time when Nebraska has run a quarterback draw, they've had some success with it.
Right.
I don't see with where Nebraska is with the depth, lack thereof at the wide receiver position. I would not want to know who number 5 is that's out on the field, even if we are going to run the ball.
Well, I'm pretty sure that if Greg is being quarterback, then Todd's probably going to be the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Now we gotta highlight this one here. This is not. No offense. Sorry, Fred. We'll come back to you. This is not the Marcus, but this is a different Marcus who's giving a super chat for Team Jack. Writing it down. Read that comment for me, Todd.
For Team Jack, the range of possible emotions for Saturday are so wide, either celebrating or crying.
And you could be tears of joy too. Well, I'm just figuring I'm going to be crying on Saturday. It's either going to be tears of happiness or tears of joy or tears of misery.
Yeah.
All right. So we have this popped in. Dear God. Highlander Gun says, hey, Monica Mercer, can you take a Young Guns poster and put John's face on it?
Oh.
Let's let this one play out in real time. Monica says, yes, I can. I don't know why I needed to add the emphasis. And Highlander Gun says, cool. Oh, spelled it weird, Highlander. Come on now. Let's be better. That would be awesome, especially with John's London hair. His half haircut that he got. And Monica says, consider it done. Monica, could you do me a favor? Could you message that one to me through whatever channel and not show it to John right away so that I can debut it here on the show when you have it done? And I really want to surprise Todd with that. Oh, it's not supposed to be London hair. It is long hair. So, yeah. So Joel says that hate seeing John crying in the shit house. I agree with that. Let's see. Tears of joy are a possibility.
Yeah.
James Marshall says Nebraska, Wisconsin should both be confident when looking at each other. The question is who can snap out of it first. Who's going to make kind of like the Maryland game, honestly? Who's going to make the least amount of mistakes?
Yeah. I like where Nebraska's at, compared to Wisconsin. I do. Coach Rule has not lost the clubhouse, so to speak.
Right.
And
I think everybody's
like, you get that kind of dissension in the ranks. That is a cancer that spreads, and it is something that is not easily extinguished. I wish I knew more about what was going on.
I love the comment that you made Monday night about how you didn't need any more evidence, but you're positive now as ever that Matt Rule's the guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just am so impressed. I'm so impressed with him. And, while we can, second guess the play calling from Coach Satterfield, we can second guess, a lot of other things. I think that, he is a football coach. He is a football coach, and he understands how to motivate. He understands how to put together a program and a system. He's the right guy.
A couple quick comments. By the way, now's a great time. If you have a prediction, to put it in the comments so we can get to that point, so we can be out of here in time for Todd to go to bed. Nebraska Strong says Herbie Huskers start at quarterback. Wisconsin will be totally unprepared. I say go one step further and do Little Red, but that's just me. Let's see here. Joel Tilson kind of agreeing with us. Rule's confidence is incredible. And based on a comment that I made, as quoted by Fred, who's going to make the least amount of mistakes? We say that every week, and then we make the larger amount of mistakes. Also a fact. And we appreciate you throwing it into my face.
Consistent. Yeah.
Fred, Little Red at quarterback, at least his balloon body will suck up the ball like Pila sucks food out of the carpet.
Fred, I want you singing the praises of Bert when Illinois beats Iowa this week.
No, we got some. Look, their wins. But we got some depressing scores. Remember, I was the guy. I feel so bad. Somebody called me out. I wish I could remember who. Somebody called me out with the benefit of hindsight very accurately when I says we'd beat Maryland something like 31-10, something along the lines of we're not going to score 31 points. So that one hurt my heart, but they were right, and so I have to recognize that. Look, we got a lot on the line this week. Bowl eligibility for the third week in a row, and getting the monkey off of our back by beating Wisconsin in Wisconsin for the first time since 1966. So, by the way, 1966 was what we call a winning streak because we beat them in 60. Or I'm sorry, it was middle of a winning streak. We beat them in Lincoln in 65. We beat them in Lincoln in 73. But 66 was the last time we beat them in Wisconsin. So, while we finish up getting some of these predictions in, thank you. James Marshall says the Illinois backup quarterback versus the Iowa defense will be intriguing. Yeah, he came in for a hurt Altmaier and threw for 500-something yards in the win. That's pretty crazy.
No Cooper DeJean.
Anything's possible with no Cooper DeJean. Here you go, Todd. Question for you from Vince Watson. What is the number the defense has to hold Wisconsin to in order to give the offense a chance?
2. 2.
Oh, this cough. If I'm not here next week, it's because I died from the cough. Fred Sacco says if Sims starts or plays an extended period, Wisconsin 34-10 or Nebraska 10. If someone else at quarterback, Nebraska 17, Wisconsin 10. Living in Omaha, David Matney says 13-6 Nebraska. Joel Tilson says Husker 7, Badgers 6. Husker JPG says Wisconsin 31, NU 13, sort of like the Colorado game. That I'm gonna write a receipt for that. There's one coming your way. You've been negative. You've been very negative tonight, Husker JPG. Shame on you. This is a positive show. We are 5 heart. Justin is on board. He says Husker 17, Wisconsin 3. Nebraska strong, Big Red 5, Wisconsin 3. Big Red gets the W on a safety. I would take it. James Boardman says Wisconsin 27, Nebraska 9. I challenge the Huskers to prove me wrong with that reverse psychology.
There you go, James. Yeah.
Husker Bob says 16-9 Huskers. Husker Chuck says NU 11, Wisconsin 6 in an ugly game. Husker JPG says I have been negative. Sue me. To which I would respond, I ain't got that kind of scratch for legal fees, and it's not that important to me. I'm just saying, let's brighten our disposition just a little bit, all right? Life's too short to be negative all the time. That's not how we end the show, Fred. It's not 5 wins is all you get. Nebraska Strong says, Greg, what should be the official beer of Wisconsin? Oh, geez. Why am I getting my damn states mixed up? Of Nebraska football. That is a great question. I'm going to have to think on that and come back with an answer next week, I think.
Yeah.
It's not Busch Light. I'll tell you that damn much.
No. Kincaid's Devil Gap, that should get some votes.
Here's what I need all the independent brewers of Nebraska to do. Send me a sample of your finest.
Yeah.
And I will make that determination.
Some good stuff out of the brewery out at Seward. I can't think of the name of the brewery at Seward, but they've got good stuff out there.
We used to have friends, and I know they closed maybe even before the pandemic, but the Blue Blood Brewing Company there in Lincoln. I know that I think it was after Brian passed, a group of Coronation guys went down to the cellar that they had down there and just, had a good visit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to think about that. Nebraska Strong. Is Cornhead Lager? I feel like that's probably a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing, and it's
Okay.
not too bad. And then you've got good old Nebraska Brew at Zipline. So
Fred says that Cornhead Lager is the NIL beer for Nebraska.
I think yes, I think that's right.
So Nebraska Shadron's also where I learned about red beer. I'd not heard of red beer before.
That's really a Nebraska thing.
Nobody in Illinois does it. They don't have orange beer as anyway. All right. Todd, I need your prediction. Then you have to go to bed.
You have forgotten it. I hate predictions.
It's been a long time.
My standard prediction has always been Nebraska 35, whoever we play 21.
Uh-huh. You want to alter that one?
I'm not going to hold to that. I'm going to You've inspired me. Actually, Joel's inspired me because he's nailed mine. Ham's Tall Boys. You damn right, Joel. Doesn't get any better than that.
Isn't that a Minnesota brew?
It is a Minnesota brew. From the land of sky blue waters comes a beer refreshing.
Are you going to sing me some more, Todd? Serenade me as I drift to sleep.
From the land of sky blue waters. Oh, shoot. Nebraska's going to win, and it's going to be 14-10.
Phil Spear dropping a late one here. Nebraska 17, Wisconsin 13. I kind of like 17-10 Nebraska. I think it's going to be a one-score game, which we all know how those go. But I think eventually the floodgates will open, and a rash of positive things that have been put off for far too long are going to go Nebraska's way.
Yeah.
We can't always give the ball away 5 times in a game.
Yep.
Something's got to give. And I think what time is better than now, and who better than us? Let's get the dub. Let's get bowl eligibility. Let's get this Madison, Wisconsin monkey off of our back. And let's be a little bit delusional, because I'd rather be delusional and optimistic than negative all the time. That's no fun. I'm a homer, damn it. I'm proud to be a homer. And so I will always look. This, you can't tell. This is me saying Nebraska's going to go 15-0. All right? I'm an unabashed, unapologetic homer. I'm fine with it. The regulars here, they're used to it. I don't care. 17-10 Nebraska. Let's go bowling, Todd.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Okay. All right. Did you type something in?
I did.
Okay. I was going to say.
Joel's tugging at my heartstrings. So, story for another time.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the 5 Heart Podcast. We appreciate Todd sitting in tonight. We know that John's traveling in the most unfortunate of circumstances, and we hope that he travels safe. We didn't even talk about this, Todd, mostly because it probably doesn't affect you. But next week is short week because it's Thanksgiving. It's Black Friday. Let me ask the Chatterfields real quick here. Would you rather do the show on Tuesday night or on Wednesday night? I'm pulling more towards Wednesday night. Somebody answer in the comments. We'll decide from there. Regardless, we'll see you all next week on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And here at the 5 Heart Podcast, we remind you each and every week, Todd, maybe you've forgotten, that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. Todd?
Go Big Red.
Good night, everybody.